Hey, it's Ted Mcgrath, and in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how do you get high quality people to your live events. So if you're thinking about doing a live event, which would be a seminar or a workshop or a retreat, and you haven't done one before, I'm going to give you a simple way today to get people into the room. If you've been doing live events for a while, I'm going to show you how you're probably leaving some potential attendees on the table that should actually be in your room. So here's a simple formula to just use offline marketing to actually get people to your seminar. And I know when I started in the seminar business, one of the biggest challenges and the biggest things weighing on my mind was how do I actually get people to the seminar? And probably the big mistake I thought was that I had to have all these online marketing systems and I had to do teleseminars and webinars and create funnels and all this stuff to create marketing to get people there. Now, today, I use a lot of online marketing. In my business right now this month, we are driving about 10,000 new leads into our business this month, and that's all through online marketing. However, it wasn't how I started in the business. And if you want to get results in the next 120 days and you want to get out there fast and you want to do your first or next live event, then I want you to pay attention to these techniques and methodologies that I use to get people in the room. So one of them is to set your targets on how many people you actually want there. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times people think that they have to have 100 people at a seminar for it to be worthwhile. I have clients that have started and they've gotten 10 people in the room and made upwards of $70,000 in sales. I've had clients brand new who've done 40 people in the room and have made $200,000 in sales. So maybe your first seminar, you want to pick somewhere between 10 and 40 people to come to your live event. So the question is, how do you go about actually getting people there? Well, one of the first ways to actually get people to your live events is to start creating a schedule of networking events that you're going to attend over the next 120 days. So let's say you set the date and you go, I'm going to do this event 120 days out. Clearly, you want to have a marketing strategy where you're going to attend networking events. So my suggestion for you is to go to 2 to 3 networking events every single week. Now, when you think about this, let's say you just went to 2 networking events every single week and you did this for the next 4 weeks. In 1 month, you'd have attended 8 networking events. Now, if you look over a 4-month period and you go to 8 a month over 4 months, that's 32 networking events that you would actually go to. So here's the thing. A lot of times when people go to networking events, they make a few mistakes that prevent them from actually getting people to come to their seminars. One of the mistakes is thinking that when you go to a networking event, you actually have to talk to everybody in the room. Well, when you think about the math I just did, 32 networking events over the course of 4 months, really, all you would have to do is get one person from each networking event that you enroll into your live event, and at the end of 120 days, you'd have 32 people attending your live event. So rather than going to a networking event, collecting all these different business cards, wasting your time trying to talk to everybody in the room, I go and I want to make sure I have 3 things down pat. Number 1, I want to make sure my statement is clear. So if somebody comes up to me and they're like, hey, Ted, what is it that you do? I want to mention the fact that I'm doing a live event. Now, why? Well, the fact that I'm doing a live event is automatic authority. So the moment you decide to do live events and seminars, so many people today want to get booked on stages. They want to be on your stage. They want to be connected to people who do seminars because it's an authority thing. You're credible, and very few people in the world do live events. So the first thing is when somebody goes, hey, what do? You want to let them know that, oh, I'm really excited. I have this seminar coming up called this, this, and this, right? So for example, somebody comes to me, they go, Ted, what is it that you do? And I go, well, I'm really excited. I've got this seminar coming up called Superstar Speaker Training. And essentially, I help speakers really pack their live events with high quality people so that they can build a thriving seminar business. Pretty simple, right? So notice what I did there. I did 2 things at the networking event. I told them I've got this live event coming up that I'm really excited, Superstar Speaker Training. So immediately, it's planting a seed in the person's head for them to go, wow, he does live events. The second thing is I tell them what I do. And the formula for what you do is I help people do this so they can have that. Now, if you watch any of my other trainings before, you probably know that I talk about this all the time, because if you don't have your statement down of I help people do this so they can have that, you're gonna go to networking events and you're not gonna be clear on what it is that you do. So make sure you tell them, I'm really excited about this seminar I have coming up. And the key is, if you've never done a seminar before, just by picking the dates right now and saying my seminar is gonna be 120 days out, I'm gonna do a 2-day seminar or a 3-day seminar, and you go, hey, I'm doing Superstar Speaker Training coming up on XYZ date. One, they know it's real, they know you're excited about it, they know the date's coming up, and it's something tangible that they can wrap their heads around. I'm in the seminar business, right? And then you gotta tell them the statement of what is Superstar Speaker Training about, or what is your event about. And that's where you bring in the statement, I help people do this so they can have that. I help speakers pack their live events with high quality attendees, so ultimately they can build a thriving seminar business, right? And help people change their lives, right? So notice the statement there. It's very simple. I can say it over and over again to people, and I can really communicate my message in a simple way that people get it. So those two things are crucial in actually going to a networking event and actually getting people interested and engaged in what it is that you're talking about, which is your seminar. So that's number one. Now, if you think about it, and you go and you have this conversation and you go to one networking event, and let's say you talk to 5 people at the networking event, right? Maybe the networking event's 2-3 hours, but you have 5 good conversations. With 5 good conversations, do you think that you could at least get a couple of them to book a strategy session with you? And that's the next step that you want to pull out, is to book a strategy session. So too often, people go to a networking event, and yes, it is an accomplishment to go there and to communicate your message, but your end result is to get people to your live event. So if your goal is to get 32 people to your live event, you got to have a lot of conversations at each networking event. So let's say 5. So if you go up to 5 different people, you say, hey, I've got this seminar coming up I'm really excited about. I help people do this so they can have that. And then you make dialogue with them. You connect with them. Hey, tell me a little bit about what you're up to. What are you excited about this year? What business are you in? And you just create reality with them and affinity with them so that you're connecting on a deep level and you're getting to know them. And soon they'll reveal something about their life that gives you the opportunity to pivot and go, hey, I really enjoyed talking to you, and this conversation could go 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You take your time because you want to build the connection with them. So at the end of the conversation, they'll have asked you questions about you, you'll have asked them questions about them, and you'll know a lot about them. So let's say I'm talking to Joe, and Joe's like, yeah, that's interesting. I've always thought about doing live events. Now let me give you an example of how this went down. I was at a Tony Robbins event, and this was like 2 years ago. I just joined one of his communities, and I was at a networking event, and I started telling people what I do. And they're like, wow, I've always thought about doing some type of coaching and speaking. I said, well, why haven't you done it? And they're like, well, I just never really knew how to get off the ground and do it. And so I started talking to them more. Well, what would you teach? And they started telling me what they thought about teaching, like relationship coaching or this or that. And then I would just say, hey, I've developed this whole formula for speaking on how to deliver presentations, how to sell from the stage, how to pack your live events, how to run a live event, and how to get paid as a speaker. So I give them a quick rundown of the things that I do. So notice how I went a little bit more in depth. Like in the beginning, I told them what I do, what my seminar's about, and then I just started to hit certain points like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that elaborates a little bit more on what it is that I do and how it can help them. Because I listened to them, listened to what they had to say, listened that they were interested in speaking, and then I gave them a little bit of a path of how they could go do a live event or be a speaker. So at that point, I've got them engaged. I know what they want. They're engaged, and I'm teaching them certain things to actually succeed as a speaker. And so what I need to do at the end of every single networking conversation is I need to make that critical transition to book a strategy session. And most people never do this. So the critical transition is, the bell rings or whatever, or somebody screaming, hey, we're about to start the session again, or hey, switch partners to go talk to somebody new, or hey, the speaker's coming back up, so we gotta go watch the presentation. So as soon as you start to hear those words, you go, hey, we gotta go back inside. I really enjoyed talking to you. What I'd like to do is I wanted to invite you to have a free strategy session with me. And they go, what? And I go, yeah, it's a free speaker strategy session, and it's for people like you who are interested in being speakers. And I know you have an interest in this. I'd like to offer it up for free. On the strategy session, we'll talk a little bit about your vision and why it's important for you to become a speaker. We'll talk about the challenges that you're facing that are preventing you from becoming a speaker, and then I'll talk about a potential plan and path to get there. And the plan and path to get there most likely is for you to come to my seminar and learn more about it. However, since you don't know a lot about it, since you and I just met, I'd like to spend the time, which should be about 45 minutes on a call, really learning more about you, how I can serve you, and then walking you thoroughly through what's actually in the seminar for the 3-day seminar that I'm going to be putting on. And at the end of the conversation, if it's a fit, I'd like to invite you to attend the seminar. If it's not, and you just decide it's not the right time, or you decide it's not a fit for you, no problem. We'll just part friends, and I'll see you at some of the networking events, and it's just a gift from me to you. How's that sound? They go, great, sounds awesome. Or they go, let me go check my calendar. And I go, well, grab your phone. You have your calendar right here. And they go, yeah. So they grab their phone. I say, pull out your calendar. Let's pick a time. Slot it right in the calendar. And I say, great, I'll see you at this time. We'll get on the phone. It'll be a 45-minute call. And here's the thing, like if something comes up, please let me know. But I take these conversations really seriously, even though they're free. And just let me know 24 hours in advance if for some reason you can't book it. But I really want to make sure that we're both there and that we're committed. So are you committed to being there? And they go, yeah. So I do that last little statement of committing them so that they think twice about canceling, because a lot of times people, life gets in the way of their dreams and they decide to pass you up on an opportunity to spend those 45 minutes with you. So what I'm doing here, very simply, is I'm mapping out a strategy of I'm going to go to 2 networking events every single week for the next, for 4 weeks, which is 8 strategy sessions or 8 networking sessions. Over the course of 4 months, that's 32 networking sessions I'm going to go to. So when you think about 4 months, that's 120 days. And I think if you start today, you should have a goal to launch your seminar in 120 days. So you look at that and you go 32 networking events over 120 days. Now let me ask you something. With that strategy alone, do you think you could get 30 people to your live event? And the answer is yes. And the challenge is that most people don't commit. They go half-ass at it. They're like, they go to one networking event and then they stop. They run into a snag and they're like, this is no good. And they just don't commit to it. And so you gotta be committed to this. Why? Because the outcome you're after is to go do a seminar, to have 30 people in the room, and you gotta have 32 networking events to give yourself a chance to do that. Now, what was the formula? 32 networking events over 120 days, meeting 5 people at each networking event. So 5 new people at each networking event times 32 networking events is 160 new people on your list. So the question I have for you is, do you think with 160 new people that you've met, you could get 30 of those people to come to your live event? The answer is yes. If you just went and you booked 2 strategy sessions at each networking event and you enrolled one of them, you'd hit your goal of 32 people at your first live event or your next live event. That is a simple strategy to get people to your next live event. The challenge being is most people never create a schedule of networking events they're going to attend to. So your action steps right now, number 1, is to go research all the networking events, the chambers of commerce, the Toastmasters groups, the whatever different, the meetup groups, all the different networking groups in your actual area, research all of them and create a schedule for the next 120 days of where you're going and what you're gonna do. That's number 1. Number 2, the thing that you should be doing is, now when you're going to these networking events, you have a goal. The goal is to go talk to 5 people at each networking event. 5 people, so you have a target every single networking event. When you talk to those people, you have a strategy, right? And the strategy is you're gonna tell them about your seminar. Here's my seminar that I'm excited about on this date. You're gonna tell them your statement of what you do. Number 2. Number 3, you're gonna make conversation with them and talk to them about who they are, what they're interested in, what they're excited about. Find a way to link what they're interested in to your seminar. You make the link. Then you tell them 4 or 5 things of how to help them become a speaker, or help them get more healthy, or help them be more spiritual, whatever you're teaching. 4 or 5 things to give them a little lay of the land of how you help people. Then when the bell rings and it's time to go back to the networking event or talk to somebody else in the networking event, you simply make a call to action to a strategy session and you book that session with them. And then as you're booking the session, finally you commit them and make sure that they're committed 100% to showing up on that session. And then when you get to the session, you're going to enroll them in your seminar. So if you just did that with showing up and going to networking events, how would that actually change your business? Now there's a whole other topic that I share in other videos, which is how to actually go out and get booked on stages and actually speak at local events and national events. But even as you're at these networking events, I'm gonna plant the seed for you that's gonna come in future videos, is when you're at these networking events, you wanna be talking to the presenters there as well, developing relationships with them, and ultimately trying to get on their stages at the networking events that you're going to. So not only are you meeting 160 new people and growing your list over the course of 120 days, but you're making friends with all the presenters who are leading these groups, and you're developing your network of leaders in the community as well. So if you just follow this, and I've had client after client do this. One of my clients, Alex Moscow, 27 years old, he stutters. And at 27 years old, he put on his first seminar with only 10 people in the room, and he was able to make $70,000 in revenue. I've had other clients to go on to do their first seminar and do 6 figures at their first seminar. I've had other clients go on and make 200,000 plus at their first seminar, all teaching different topics. Some teaching business, some teaching spirituality, some teaching health. Any area you can succeed in, but you gotta follow a strategy out of the gates. And I can tell you, if you get good at this, if you get good at communicating, if you get good at enrollment, what else is there in a business to launch it and make it successful and bring cash flow in out of the gates? Then later on, as you start going more and more through my trainings, you can learn more advanced marketing strategies online of how to grow your list and get to a point like us of bringing in 10,000 new leads every single month. Could be a great goal for you. But the goal after offline marketing is just to start online marketing and set an achievable goal that you can win at. So I hope this serves you. Get in action, create your plan, set your seminar date, set your networking plan of all the networking events you're gonna go to, get clear on your conversation that you're gonna have, and book those strategy sessions. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope this served you.